Hello, dear fans, friends, and subscribers. Welcome to Cricket Happenings with your host Ram. I'm welcoming you all to this weekly cricket show, Cricket Happenings, and we are going to have a look at the Ashes series final Test match. England definitely looking on the ascendant, going into the fourth day of the Ashes series in the final Test, which is happening at the Oval, and also the tri-series which are started in Bangladesh, where Bangladesh, Afghanistan and Zimbabwe are battling it out. In the tri-series, we had one game yesterday where the host team Bangladesh won the match, but it was a match which was won by a young player who really showed his potential, Afif Hussain, who played the blinder to take them to victory. And today, Afghanistan went on to beat Zimbabwe with a sort of a real run spree happening when Najbullah Zadran and Mohammad Nabi combined in a phase. They hit 7 sixes on a consecutive basis, and they looted 100 odd runs in probably 5 overs. So that was a phenomenal hitting by Najbullah Zadran and Mohammad Nabi to take Afghanistan to victory over Zimbabwe. And also, tomorrow the first of the T20s starts between India. As you know, South Africa are out in India. South Africa take on India in the first of the T20s at Dharamshala. And the South African team has a pretty new look to it, especially considering that JP Duminy, Imran Tahir, and there was only Hashim Amla have all retired from this form of cricket. So it will be interesting to see how this new crop of youngsters from South Africa shape up against India. So let's begin. So let's start off with and also we'll have a look at the Caribbean Premier League, which had the Caribbean Premier League actually erected their highest ever total in Caribbean Premier League history, which was done by Trinbago Knight Riders, which made 267, and the Chris Gale's team, Jamaica Talawas, I wouldn't say they really had a real fist at it, but definitely they tried, but then they finished short. So Caribbean Premier League is seeing some big scores being scored in the last 2 matches, I reckon. So, well, we'll come back to that later. But let's start off with the Ashes series, England versus Australia, the final test at the Oval, and see as to what is the current situation in the Ashes series. As you know, the scoreline was England actually batted first, and they scored 294. They were bowled out for 294. The England were the ones who batted first, and they were bowled out for 294. And it was some good bowling from Cummins and Hazelwood, who have been doing a very good job, as you know, in this Ashes series. In fact, Joe Root lived a very charmed life. Rory Burns played well for 47 with 7 boundaries. Denley was out for 14. Joe Root actually lived a charmed life, as Cummins was bowling excellently, but he was grasped twice of the bowling of Cummins. He went on to make 57 with 3 boundaries. Stokes made 22. Butler was the highest scorer, making 70 runs with 7 fours and 3 sixes. Sam Curran made 15, 2 to Chris Wokes. Jofra Archer 9, Leach made 21, and 294 all out for the Englishman. The bowling, well, it was Mitchell Marsh who actually made his presence felt in the Aussie team as he snapped up 5 wickets. I reckon it was his maiden 5-wicket haul in Test matches. 18.2 overs, 4 maidens, 46 runs and 5 wickets for him. 3 wickets for 84 for Cummins, who hit the top half of the England batting. Josh Hazelwood had 2 for 76. Australia batted, and for Australia, it was Australians were bowled out for 225. Jofra Archer plucking up the wickets in fact getting on to his second 5-wicket haul in Test cricket in a span of just 5 tests that he has played in his international career. It was wonderful to see as he picked up 6 wickets. What he did, he showed what a mature bowler he is by sacrificing his pace and sticking to a very good line, and that brought him the wickets. Just talking about this Australian innings, which actually folded at 225. David Warner, as you know, has been the bunny rabbit of Stuart Broad in the whole Ashes series, and one was really willing to watch. I'm sure there have been a lot of fans gathered at the ground to see what David Warner could do to Stuart Broad. But David Warner definitely didn't have it. One solace for David Warner, though, would be that his wicket did not go to Stuart Broad. In fact, Jofra Archer was the one who picked up his wicket, and David Warner flashed at the ball just going outside the off stump, and he was given out as there was a spike noticed on the review, and he was gone for 5. So David Warner continued his very, very poor run in the Ashes series, but as I said, Stuart Broad for the first time did not get his wicket in this Ashes series. So David Warner definitely passing through the orders. It has been a Ashes series that he could forget unless and until he could come up with some extraordinary performance for the Aussies to take them to victory. Well, so Warner has been having a real struggle in this Ashes series. Marcus Harris also was totally squared up by Jofra Archer. He was gone for 3. But as you know, the mainstays for the Aussies have been that great man of this Ashes series. We all know who is going to be the man of the series. It is going to be Stephen Smith, and Stephen Smith has amassed runs like anything, as he has almost been compared to Sir Donald Bradman for the way he has played. So Stephen Smith was the one who took it up and made 80 runs. In fact, let's understand that 80 runs was his lowest ever total in this Ashes series for Stephen Smith. He contributed 80 with 9 fours and 1 6. Labuschagne, as you know, is another player who has been doing a wonderful job in this Ashes series, has shown that he is someone who belongs to this Australian team. He contributed 48 with 10 boundaries written all over it. So that was pretty much the scene. In fact, Wade was out for 19. Sam Curran showing his exploits as he picked up some important wickets, that of Matthew Wade. And he was the only person who actually, with his left arm swinging variety of bowling, could actually angle the ball into the batsman's body, and that really gave a few headaches to Stephen Smith. I mean, none of the English bowlers could really trouble Stephen Smith, but this bloke, Sam Curran, definitely gave a tough time to Stephen Smith. Stephen Smith had to weather that, and then he slowly came up trumps. As far as he knocked up 2 vital wickets in the lower middle order when he picked up the wicket of Payne and Cummins pretty quickly, which really set them back a bit. And finally, Nathan Lyon making 25, 4 fours and 1, 225 all out, with the Englishman getting into the lead at across the 69 runs lead for the Englishman. The bowling is Jofra Archer, 23.5 overs, 9 made in 62 runs and 6 wickets. His second 5-wicket haul in Test cricket, and considering that this is he's in his fledgling part of his career, 5 wickets in his bag, 6 wickets and his second 5-wicket haul. That really says a lot about this wonderful bowler, Jofra Archer. Sam Curran, as I said, bowled superbly along with Jofra Archer. And England, going into the 4th day, were placed at 313 for 8. They definitely are ruling here. There's no doubt about it. Even though the Aussies have actually retained the urn, England still lead by 382 runs in this particular Test match. And let's have a look at the card as far as England were concerned in the second innings. So as far as England innings was concerned, Rory Burns was out for 20, with 4 boundaries, but Joe Denley stuck to his task and really showed what a compact player he is. He's a player in the mold of Joe Root, or we can call Alistair Cook, the former England captain and opener. And Joe Denley is someone who actually puts a price on his wicket. Now what he does best, he definitely was dropped the previous day, which definitely proved costly for the Aussies, as he went on to make 94 with 14 folds and 1 6. And let's remember one thing with Joe Denley: he's such a player that he knows where his off-stump is. He's a player who is of the, I would say, a technical variety, where actually he guards his off-stump. He picks the loose balls to score off, and he gives respect to the good balls bowled by the bowlers. So he's such a type of player. He made 94, Joe Root making 21, Stokes cracked 67, 5 fours and 2 6s, Bast was out for 14, Butler made 47, 6 boundaries, and finally when stumps were drawn for the day, on day 3, the score at 313 for 8 for the Englishmen, 382 runs in front. They definitely are ruling here, no doubt about it. Cummins had 1 for 55. Nathan Lyon was amongst the wickets. He picked up 3 for 65. Siddle had 2 for 52. And Mitchell Marsh had 2 for 40. So that was the match situation as far as the final test of the Ashes series was concerned at the 5th test of the ICC World Test Championship at the Oval. So that was as far as that particular Ashes series was concerned. Now we shift our attention to the match which is happening. As I said, we are talking about the tri-series that is happening between Bangladesh, Afghanistan and Zimbabwe. As I said, yesterday the match that happened was between Bangladesh and Zimbabwe. And Zimbabwe were really struggling. I mean, but they got some real life which was breathed into them by a player by the name Ryan Burl, who really cracked the Bangladesh bowling to all parts of the field, and he looked pretty much the part of a very, very good batsman, as he used some raw power. He has some nice timing. He was also getting in line with balls which are pitched outside the off stump and actually swinging it over the leg side. So that was wonderfully done, and the Zimbabweans put up a score of 144, and in reply the Bangladeshis were in real, the innings was in real tatters at 60 for 6 at probably the 10th over, 9.2 to be precise. But after that, what happened was that one probably thought the cream of the crop of the Bangladesh team was already into the pavilion at the time, and one would have thought that probably it's going to be curtains for the Bangladeshis. But who would have expected that a young bloke by the name Afif Hussain, who's just 20 years of age, a left-hander, and he showed that what potential he had. As soon as he came in, he showed no nerves. He went over the bowler's head, and that stroke, let me tell you, was a picture-perfect stroke. I mean, coming there, just playing his probably initially, he's just come there with Bangladesh tottering at 60 for 6, and this bloke had the temerity to slam the bowler over his head for a magnificent boundary. It was a picture-perfect stroke from Afif Hussain, and after that there was no looking back for Afif Hussain, and he showed that he had the potential as he went on to a maiden 50. What a knock that was, 8 fours and 2 6s in that knock. He showed that he can play a game. He looked to be a cricketer who really probably, I would say, has a good eye, as he really stroked the ball freely and fluently, and he was a treat to watch. Let me tell you, he was the man of the match, no doubt about it. He got good company from Mossadegh Hussain, who's normally a good hitter of the ball, but he curbed his strokes to see that Afif Hussain does all the scoring. So let's get into the second game. The second game that happened just today, Afghanistan were taking on Zimbabwe. Afghanistan had a person by the name Rahmanullah Gurbaz, the opener, actually making his T20 debut, and he showed what a brisk player he is, as he scored 43 of 24, 5 fours and 2 sixes, and also in a score of 60, Ramanullah Gurbaz had scored 43. Hazratullah Zazai, not only a very attacking batsman, scored 13 of 14. And then Zimbabwe struck back. Najib Tarakai was out for 14. Asghar Afghan was into the pavilion for 14. But what followed later was simply, I would call, the murder of the Zimbabwean bowlers. Absolute murder, one could call, because you know that the score was 90 for 4 when Asghar Afghan was dispatched to the pavilion in the 14th over. And it looked like the Zimbabwean bowling had the Afghanistan batting order under total control. But after that, what followed was absolute mayhem. Najbullah Zadran, the youngster, showing his prowess here, picking up his highest ever total in his T20 career, as he slammed an unbeaten 69 of just 30 deliveries, which included 5 fours and 6 sixes. The experienced Mohammad Nabi giving him company, slamming 38 of 18 balls, which included 4 consecutive sixes of the bowling of Tendai Chatara. Najbullah Zadran was simply electric. I mean, there was a phase of play in the Afghanistan innings where 7 consecutive sixes were hit. 4 sixes by Mohammad Nabi consecutively at the bowling of Tendai Chatara, and then Madziva was taken to the cleaners by Najbullah Zadran as he cracked him for 3 sixes in a single over. So it was, as I said, was total murder, and there were 107 runs scored by these players in a span. One would call it 40 deliveries and 105 runs. This was simply electric cricket from Najbullah Zadran and Mohammad Nabi of Afghanistan. Ainsley Nodlovu was making his T20 debut, and I thought he was very impressive with his bowling. 4 overs, 1 for 35. Jarvis disappeared for 53 of his 4. That's a matter of concern for Zimbabwe, as he happened to be the strike bowler. Tendai Chatara disappeared, 4 overs, 2 for 53. Sean Williams, 4 overs, 2 for 16. Burl had 1 over 4, and Madziva, 2 was done well. Let's talk about Ryan Burl. Ryan Burl yesterday not only showed his batting, but he also showed that he's a good, useful bowler, and he picked up an absolute screamer at the fence against Bangladesh. Zimbabwe, a target of 198 runs, was a really a stiff task. Brendan Taylor took off with 27 of 16, 3 fours and 2 sixes before the very impressive bowler by the name Farid Ahmed picked up his wicket as he spliced the ball to mid-wicket. Masakadza was out for 3, and after that the Afghanistan bowling, I thought, really held sway over the Zimbabwean batting, as Masakadza was out for 3, Irvine for 10, Williams went for naught, Mutambodzi made 20. Burl could not really recreate what he did against Bangladesh. He contributed 25 before Rashid Khan castled him, 25 as many balls to 2 sixes. Chakabwa really did his bit in trying to take the Zimbabwean innings closer to the Afghanistan total. He was bowled by Rashid Khan for 25 and as many balls he made not out 42 of 22, 3 fours, 2 sixes. Madziva 15, Jarvis not out 15 with two tonking sixes from Jarvis. 169 for 7 in the end. Afghanistan were the victors by 28 runs. Mujibur Rahman went for plenty, 3 overs for 29, 2 for 35. Farid Ahmed, I thought the left-arm pacer from Afghanistan was pretty impressive. 4 overs no made in 2 for 35. Kareem Jannat, 3 for 1 for 29. Nabi, 2 overs, none for 9. Gulbuddin Naib was playing in this particular match. 4 overs, 1 for 32. Rashid Khan, it is part 4 overs, 2 for 29. And Najbullah Zadran, for his electric batting, was declared man of the match. Other than that, tomorrow, as I said, India is taking on South Africa, as South Africa are touring India, and the first of the T20 matches takes place at Dharamsala tomorrow. The South African, it will be very interesting to see. India definitely looking favourites because of the strong unit they are. But I can tell you one thing, dear fans, that South Africa definitely are in a sort of a rebuilding phase. Hashim Amla, Imran Tahir, and JP Duminy have all retired from this form of cricket, and I thought the South African team would have a real test here. Let's have a look at the team that South Africa has here. And first we'll have a look at the South African team and see let's have a look at the youngsters, the new crop of youngsters in this South African lineup. So let's first get on to the South African team. So Quinton de Kock is the new captain of the South African team. They have Reza Hendricks, who has been performing very well. Themba Bavuma gets an opportunity. Now Themba Bavuma has never played in T20 cricket. There's an opportunity for him. He's a good stroke maker. Rassie van der Dussen is the man to watch, according to me, because he's the one who has really impressed. He came to Canada. He had a very wonderful time in Canada, playing for the Vancouver team. And I can say Rassie van der Dussen is a player for the future. He's a 360-degree player, let me tell you that. David Miller, we all know what he's capable of. Andil Felakwayo, another very good all-rounder. Wayne Pretorius, John Fortune, George Lind. He has played for South Africa A against India A. When I've seen him, that he can really whack the ball a long way, and besides, he's a left-arm spinner as well. Kagiso Rabada, the most experienced one. They have Andrich Nortje, who did not make it to the World Cup. It would be interesting to see whether Andrich Nortje could play, but one wonders on Indian wickets how the pace bowlers would be faring. Tabrai Shamsi is the other one. As far as India are concerned, India also have a good crop of youngsters, no doubt about it, but there's a lot of experience embedded with that, with Virat Kohli leading the team, Rohit Sharma, Shikhar Dhawan, Manish Pandey, who has been doing very well, as we all know, Shreyas Iyer. So there's a lot of healthy competition in the Indian team. Rishabh Pant, Hardik Pandya, Hardik Pandya is back in business after missing the Caribbean tour. Krunal Pandya, his brother, who has been always been a sort of a wonderful player in T20. Ravindra Jadeja. They have Washington Sundar, the right-arm offie, who does a good job in the power play overs. Deepak Chahar, the man who can swing the ball both ways at some very good pace. Navdeep Saini, who did a wonderful job against the West Indies in the Caribbean, was just trying to find his bearings, one could say, in international cricket. Navdeep Saini, a very impressive bloke there, bowling very consistently at some nice speeds. So we have some real interesting cricket coming up between India and South Africa in the first T20 at Dharamsala tomorrow. Also, let me share that Caribbean Premier League had its highest ever total of the franchisee hit when Trinbago Knight Riders made 267. Jamaica Talawas were bowled out for 251. I reckon, or probably, I'm not probably too sure about scores, but there was Colin Munro who smacked 96. Very good runs. Nedal Simmons did a good job as well, but definitely, as I said, Caribbean Premier League had its highest score. The other news that I could give you is that India finally have in the test matches, Rohit Sharma will definitely make has got his spot back. Not spot back in the sense he has come back. He has not really clicked in test matches, but I think Rohit Sharma, it's high time that Rohit Sharma gets his spot in the Indian team. KL Rahul has been a big failure, as we all know. And Mohammad Hossain of Pakistan, who is the pace bowler, young pace bowler, who has been doing very well in the CPL, has played a few matches, has been called back by the Pakistan cricket team. Well, and also we had today, Sarfaraz Ahmed was named the captain for the Sri Lankan tour of Pakistan. For the first time, you're going to see some cricket, international cricket in Pakistan. Mohammad Hossain, and Sarfaraz Ahmed has been named the captain of the team, and Babar Azam has been named as the new vice captain of the team. With this being said, this is your host Ram, definitely bidding you all a very goodbye on this cricket show today, but promising you that on a Sunday, my next cricket show, you would be all seeing me. Until then, it's goodbye from here. Thank you.